The security of the nation depends on the men and women who serve in the 5 rings of the Pentagon. Before any military action can be taken anywhere in the world, the mission must be planned and approved in the outer and most important ring, the E-ring. This was the 3rd attack in a month. Now, all 3 bombings targeted American oil interests. The first, a pipeline. 13 days later, a pumping station. And this last, workers' living quarters.
Okay.
Charming little splinter group known as the Crimson Martyrs Brigade. Last blast killed 19 people, American and Saudi, including the employees' wives and children who were living in the compound.
Must be real proud of themselves.
Boys, I hope you're ready for a little sand and sun, because we've been tasked to conduct a foreign internal defense mission with Saudi special forces to locate and destroy this cell.
Nothing like going to the hottest place on the planet, not being able to have a cold beer.
Now, our primary contact is going to be one Prince Amin. He's the 3rd cousin to the Crown Prince and current Defense Minister of Interior.
So we're talking Prince with a lowercase p here?
Well, he may not be next in line to the throne, but he is the real deal. He has a palace and everything.
Man, it's good to be the king.
Now, he's considered a progressive. He lived and studied in America for more than a decade. He's got a master's degree from Rice University, and he married a former Miss Texas.
He's got some good taste.
Now, the Saudis know they need our help to nail these guys, so we did receive some considerable opposition from the Saudi royal family in getting us over there. So we have to be on our best behavior, even if it means drinking brewed tea instead of barley and hops. Now, in the homeland of bin Laden, we can't risk the locals finding out that we're U.S. Army, so our cover's going to be we're regional security officers from the embassy.
Oh, come on. Do I have to be Officer Wilcox again? And can I get someone with a little more style here?
I got 2 words for you, Bobby. Low profile. We're going to be linking up with Ambassador Timothy Jansen.
Gentlemen, welcome to Riyadh.
Mr. Ambassador.
How are you, sir?
That's the prince's first wife. He recently took a second.
Like you said, it's good to be the king.
He's a better man than me. I can barely handle one wife.
Gentlemen, may I present His Royal Highness Prince Amin and his wife, Princess Amelia, Officers Franconi and Wilcox from the embassy.
Welcome to the kingdom. I'm pleased to be your host.
Thank you, Your Highness. Who's this?
It's nice to see some friendly American faces. Where are you all from? Gabrielle, Sasha, these are our guests, Mr. Franconi and Mr.
Wilcox, ma'am.
I'm sure your boots are exactly where you left them, by the pool. I swear they would lose their heads if they weren't attached to their bodies.
My daughters are exactly the same.
Oh, how old are yours?
6 and 8.
Why don't you get the girls ready? They'll miss half the lesson again.
If you gentlemen will excuse me, even a princess has to be a mom sometimes.
Pleasure to meet you, Your Highness.
Not exactly the portrait of a royal family, is it?
Well, at least let me pretend to be a good host and offer you some coffee.
I thought you were supposed to be giving up caffeine, Colonel.
It's decaf, Sonny, and between you and Pierce, I'll be lucky if I can do anything I like these days.
Speaking of Master Sergeant Pierce, there's a new position opening up in my office for an NCOIC.
And you want to steal Pierce?
I'm not looking to step on your toes, Colonel. That's why I'm coming to you first.
Well, I appreciate that, Sonny, but, well, I'll tell her what a great opportunity it is. You do not want this job, Pierce. All that paper pushing and pencil sharpening. It's only a matter of time before they turn you.
Turn me, sir?
Into a civilian. What the hell do you think we're talking about here, Pierce?
I don't know, Colonel. Sounds to me like no more 4 a.m. wake-ups.
You belong in sod, where you're right in the thick of it. Do you want to trade all this to make sure that Ms. Liston's expenses are filed on time?
I make sure your expenses are filed on time, Colonel.
Listen, I'm only trying to look out for your best interest, Pierce.
Sir, is this about my best interest or yours?
Do you think we'll pass the test? Yeah.
After spending 10 years in Texas, I learned to appreciate hot sauce. Spicy food, it's one of the things I miss about living in America.
Well, we do get a few things right.
I suppose we should talk business. Colonel Khalid will be your liaison to Saudi intelligence. Colonel, why don't you brief our guests on our progress thus far?
Certainly, Your Highness. Regrettably, our human intelligence has been rather limited. We have many Wahhabists in Riyadh, devout practitioners of traditional Islam who feel it is their duty to protect these terrorists.
They often provide food, shelter, funding, using our religion as a shield. They're a cunning enemy.
Those two are such dawdlers. Girls, what's taking so long? Sasha, Gabrielle.
Well, I think the only way to prevent the next attack is to anticipate it.
Agreed. And since the Mujahideen have been targeting U.S. oil interests, that is where we must focus our intelligence. Excuse me, please.
يلا يلا امشي بلدي لو بيخطفوه المتطرفين اخوه 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 اخوه
Mosh must here. Sir, I didn't catch all of that, Arabic. What's going on?
The prince's daughters have been kidnapped. by the Crimson Martyrs Brigade.
The calling card of the Crimson Martyrs Brigade.
Your government has sent you men here to help us destroy these animals. I hope now you will redouble your efforts.
We'll do everything in our power, Your Highness.
Colonel, have your men reviewed the security cameras yet?
Yes, but for reasons of modesty, however, there are none in the changing rooms. The rest were disabled.
Which means whoever did this has already been here. Okay, we're gonna need to look at those tapes going back 2 weeks at least.
Your Highness, may I speak with your wife? Princess, about how long were your daughters alone in that room?
Maybe 10 minutes. They're just at that age, you know? And I wanted to give them a little privacy, make them feel like normal little girls. You know, not have men with guns in their faces all day long.
How many times have I said it? 2 half-American princesses. They're the perfect targets for these fanatics. That's why I insist they be guarded at all times.
Ma'am, this is not your fault.
You're right. You're right, of course. Go home. I will call the moment we know more. When we first came back to Riyadh, Gabrielle, my oldest, had trouble making the adjustment. She missed Texas, her horses. The day I brought her here, her eyes lit up. Find them, please. Before any harm comes to them.
Prince Amin is a heretic who collaborates with the American infidels. We will kill his mongrel daughters in 48 hours unless all American employees of contract oil leave Saudi Arabia. Allah yubarik al-Muslimin.
This was just delivered to Al Jazeera.
They expect Coltrax to pack up and leave in 2 days?
Wahhabists. They want all non-believers out of their sandbox. So what do we have so far?
Well, Khaled's people just sent over some surveillance footage. The Saudis have cameras deployed all over the city on every street. Each one snaps a digital photograph every 10 seconds. Now, this one here is from a traffic camera right above King Fahd Boulevard. It's right by the entrance to the Equestrian Center. It was taken at 10:34 a.m. Here's another one, 12 minutes later. Now, we lost the van 12 kilometers west of the Equestrian Center.
What about that one?
It's the same make, different tags. Apparently, this van's one of the most common vehicles in the country.
Wait a minute. Back it up, Bobby. All right, watch the license plate. He took the plate off. There's a second plate underneath. I check the next traffic circle for a white van with those new tags.
Being in a police state certainly has its advantages.
Yeah, if you don't care about your civil liberties or getting your head chopped off without a trial.
Yeah, looks like the van left Riyadh. The cameras ain't extended the city limits.
Well, there's more than one way to get a picture. Get National Reconnaissance on the phone.
And you need it this morning, sir?
That's right. Longitude 24.39 north, latitude 46.44 east, starting at 10:44 a.m. local time. And that's it. Let's start here. Let's map out all the possible routes out of the city.
Sir, to be honest, I have about 17 other high-priority projects in line before this one. I can get another analyst on it just as soon as one becomes available.
What's this guy's name?
Hendricks, William.
Bill, you mind if I ask you a question? You got any kids?
Yeah? Little boy.
We're trying to save 2 little girls here, and we've got less than 2 days before the kidnappers pull the plug. Every second counts here, Bill.
All right, let me pull the rest of the SAT imagery and we'll get started.
Colonel McNulty's team is tracking the satellite imagery now. The thinking is the cell responsible for the kidnapping is the same one behind the bombing.
So we try to catch 2 birds with 1 stone.
Yes, ma'am.
Is there something else?
Yes, ma'am. I wanted to talk to you about the new non-commissioned officer in charge position.
Oh, I'm glad to hear it. I wanted Colonel McNulty to bring it up with you first.
Yes, ma'am, he did. And to be honest with you, he wasn't very enthusiastic about me making the change.
Well, I can't blame him for not wanting to lose you. But it is a step up. The last person to sit in that chair just became junior partner at the Carlyle Group.
What's the next step, ma'am?
Well, you'd have to formally meet with my executive officer, and then I could officially nominate you. There are other candidates, of course, but you're obviously on the inside track here.
JT.
Yeah.
Copy. This was just given to the prince and his wife. What the hell happened to our 48 hours, huh?
When does Al Qaeda play by the rules, Bob? Call Bill back. See if we got a hit on our van. Let's get these bastards.
I've got it, Colonel. I'm sending you the coordinates right now.
Good work, Bill.
You want me to inform Khaled?
What, that we found the kidnappers using satellites to conduct 24-hour surveillance on this country?
Yeah, I was gonna leave that part out.
Now listen, the Saudis go in guns blazing, the jihadis end up dead. We can't exploit them. I'm gonna recommend to JSOC that we do this solo. Get as much intel as we can, then we turn the bad guys over for some Saudi-style justice.
Okay. How you want to do it?
Multiple entry points. We come in simultaneously from the east, north, west. Send in a couple of flashbang discs under the doors.
Drop your weapons! Down the ground! Down the ground now!
We're Americans, don't shoot! We're American, we're American!
Hold your fire!
We're American!
What the hell's going on?
My name's Rocco Vitano. I'm a private security contractor.
Give me one good reason why I shouldn't shoot you now for kidnapping these girls.
We're not kidnapping them. We're rescuing them.
Special forces, huh? Who are you with?
5th group. Left 4 years ago.
Give me some names.
Ray Minch, Charlie Gutierrez, Eddie Q course with them. Ended up OD at 512. I got papers, man. They're in my pocket.
Legal guardian. What, you and the princess?
No, nothing like that. She wants to divorce this guy, take her girls back to the States. But, I mean, it's a Saudi royal. Considers those girls property. She's not about to let that happen. So about a year ago, she contacted my security firm through her sister in the States and asked if I could get the girls out.
Yeah, what about the princess? She hates it here. You think she's gonna stay behind?
I mean, knows she wants out. If they all disappeared together.
And if he thinks the girls are dead?
She's got nothing to look for. Maybe in a year or so, she gets out, joins them.
It's pretty smart tradecraft. You blame the kidnapping on an Al-Qaeda group that's already causing trouble, photoshopping the photo to make it look like the girls are dead, and then quietly sneaking out of the country when everything dies down.
Yeah. Look, their mother wants them out.
What about their father? Poor guy thinks his daughters are dead.
Trust me, poor guy ain't no prince. I got a court order.
Yeah, from the state of Texas.
Well, it's not like the Saudi government's gonna be rolling out the red carpet for me.
What do the girls say?
We'll talk.
Guys, this is Saudi Arabia. Girls like that are taught to keep their mouths shut and their eyes down, especially around men. It took me months to get to know them, running into them at their little functions with their mother.
All right. I want you to stay here. Keep an eye on Rocco and the girls. I'm gonna go see if I can visit the grieving mother.
You got it.
I know you're probably pretty scared right now, but I want you to know you're perfectly safe. I promise you that. Hey, do you think maybe I could borrow that? Wow. That matches your eyes. Your Highness, I'm sorry to interrupt at a time like this, but I have some news.
Please tell me they're alive, that this is a bad dream.
I wish I could do that, Your Highness, but I just wanted to let you know that we're following some leads.
I want these animals to pay for what they've done. Excuse me, please. Colonel Khalid is calling.
Relax, Princess. Your daughters are safe. If you have something you want to say, you need to say it now. Either you talk to me or I'm going to have to tell my superiors and your husband that you arranged to have your own daughters kidnapped.
It is every girl's dream to marry a prince, right? And he was charming, generous, and he promised that we would raise the girls in America.
But he changed his mind.
It was 2 years ago. My husband told me that he had planned a trip for the girls to see their grandparents in Riyadh. They were so excited. It was going to be an adventure. We were going to stop in Egypt on the way home, see the pyramids.
Only you never left Riyadh.
So on the second day, my husband announced he was taking a post in the government. And when I said I didn't want to stay, he told me that I had no rights in this country and that I come and go when he says. You know, I can't work, I can't drive, I can't travel. Everywhere I go, I have strange men following me. And suddenly, he won't allow the girls to play with the toys that they want, or wear the clothes that they want, or get a Western education.
Guys, I understand this might not be the life that you want. But having your daughters abducted, faking their deaths.
I was running out of time.
What do you mean?
He's planning to marry Gabrielle to one of his cousins on her next birthday. I mean, the man is in his 30s, and she's still a little girl. You know, I can tolerate the indignity of sharing my husband. I chose to marry him. My daughter shouldn't have to suffer for my mistake.
No offense, ma'am, but how do we know I'm not just in the middle of some unhappy marriage?
Just check for yourself. My husband is already negotiating Gabrielle's dowry.
The princess's story checks out. We have Human that confirms he's negotiating drilling rights in Gowar in exchange for the hand of his 12-year-old daughter. And according to travel records, the family had return tickets when they went to Saudi Arabia 2 years ago. They were planning on going back to Houston.
We've got to get those girls out of there, man.
Like it or not, Colonel, this is a marital dispute. It doesn't come under the purview of special operations.
Yeah, well, what if those girls talk? Rocco Vitano and his boys are American. They could end up headless.
Well, I recommend we evacuate Mr. Vitano and his team to Dubai and let the FBI determine whether or not they've broken any U.S. laws.
That's not going to help that woman and her daughters.
Colonel, do you think I really like the idea of leaving them to live in a country where women are treated like chattel?
Let's do something about it before anybody's the wise.
You know that state would never agree to that. U.S.-Saudi relations are strained as it is. We get caught. The conspiracy network would go into overdrive. Suddenly, all over the Middle East, people are claiming that our president sent U.S. special forces into Saudi Arabia to abduct 2 little Arab princesses.
Those 2 little Arab princesses are half American, ma'am.
Oh, and what about Colonel Tisnewski's team? Do we really want them to get caught by the Saudis and put on trial? Look, I suggest you call JSOC. We get our men in there and get those girls back to the palace immediately.
What's the word, F.A.?
We're taking the girls back to the palace.
Colonel, you can't do that.
Hey, I've got orders. Remember what that was like?
Damn right I do. Too many decisions made for the wrong reasons. That's why I got out.
Here I figured it was for the big bucks.
Hey, you're right. This started out just another job for me. But once I got to know these girls, saw what they were going through, it got personal.
Load everyone up. Embassy vehicles will be here in 5.
Do you have any idea what it's gonna be like for these girls having a religious fanatic as a father?
Load everybody up into one vehicle. We'll take the girls separately.
What are we gonna do?
Exactly what we're ordered to do. Bring the girls back to the palace.
Thank you for calling and letting me know you were coming.
Why don't you talk to him inside the vehicle? We have more privacy. Whoa, fellas. Why don't we give the princess a moment to themselves? What do you say?
Oh, hey.
Princess, I'm not sure if you're aware. Embassy cars are considered diplomatic vehicles. They can't be violated by anyone. What I'm trying to tell you, ma'am, is right now, technically, you're on U.S. soil. Just so you know.
I'd like to be taken to the U.S. Embassy, please. I'm formally requesting protection by the U.S. government for myself and my daughters.
You heard the lady.
What in the hell were you thinking, Colonel?
Ma'am, I followed my orders to the letter.
Yeah, well, you certainly violated them in spirit. You made a unilateral decision, and now we have an international incident on our hands.
What was I supposed to do? Throw her out of the car?
She shouldn't have been in the car in the first place.
Ma'am, the princess and her daughters are U.S. citizens. Once she demanded protection, I would have been breaking U.S. law if I hadn't taken her to the embassy.
Yeah, well, you know what? Congratulations. You managed to cover your own ass. But what about that woman and her daughters?
Ma'am, I don't know what you mean. Everybody is safe now.
Look, all you've done is traded one prison for another, because now that you've gotten them into the embassy, there's no good way of getting them out.
No. There's always a way, ma'am.
Oh, really? On top of sealing off the embassy and restricting travel for Americans in and out of the kingdom, the Saudis have canceled the joint operation that brought you over there in the first place.
The Saudis might not like it very much, but they need us. And at the end of the day, Prince Amin isn't that important. He's not that high in the totem pole. This is going to blow over.
Colonel, this isn't about Prince Amin anymore. It's about Saudi pride and world opinion.
Ma'am, I am certain that state will be able to resolve this. In the meantime, my men and I are going to plan to evacuate the princess and her daughters out of the U.S. embassy before the Saudis find out.
You know what? You can plan all you want, Colonel, but you're not making another move without specific orders. Am I clear?
As a bell, ma'am.
Where's Mr. Vitano?
Evacuated out of the embassy before the Saudis shut it down. On his way to Dubai. Vitano is safe, ma'am.
Colonel, Prince Amin is requesting to speak to you and the captain.
I have to take this call, ma'am.
It's not a call, sir. He's here.
I want to see my children.
You'll have to talk to Ambassador Jansen about that, Your Highness. We're security officers, not diplomats.
And yet my wife asked you to help her. I work in Saudi security services. Do you really believe I can't keep tabs on my own wife? I just never thought she would do something so unreasonable.
Due respect, Your Highness. Maybe marrying off your daughter at age 13 was unreasonable to her.
You know, I've always found America's judgment of other cultures fascinating. You claim to be a pluralistic society, and yet your prejudice against what you don't understand is fascinating.
We're far from perfect, sir, but we do believe in individual freedom, even for women and children.
That's worked well for you, has it? You know, when we lived in River Oaks, a little girl on our street was molested by her school teacher. Apparently, he'd been in trouble before, but your justice system failed to punish him. My wife's nephew was put in a drug rehabilitation center, 16 years old and addicted to methamphetamines. And how many young girls in your country get pregnant out of wedlock?
Those are real problems. Sure, but we're talking about a small minority.
Don't try to tell me that my children are better off in America.
Apparently their mother thinks they are.
What do they think? I know my daughters love me, and they do not wish to live apart from me.
Your Highness, I still don't understand why you're talking to us about this.
Because you two got my daughters into this predicament. Logic tells me that you can get them out. You have access to them. I don't. Talk to them. Ask them which parent they prefer. And when you get your answer, think about how you can rectify this debacle.
I don't mind it here.
You don't get to wear jeans when you go out?
I look fat in jeans.
What? You're crazy. You're thin as a rail.
You really think so?
Mm-hmm. You know my daughter has one of those dolls? Her name's Jess. What's your doll's name?
Samantha.
Really? Hmm. You know, Officer Franconi over there has a friend named Samantha.
Is she pretty?
Yes, as a matter of fact, she is.
Do you have more dolls back at the palace?
Dad doesn't like her to play with them anymore.
How come?
He doesn't like toys from back home. Thinks they're a bad influence or something. I'm not allowed to play video games anymore either.
Would you rather be back in Texas?
Well, yes, but I'd miss Samira.
Is that a friend of yours?
My horse. She's an Arabian.
Ah. How about you, Sasha? Would you like to be back in Texas?
Only if my dad came too.
Well, they've really taken to you. You must be a good father.
My wife might take issue with that. I'm away from home a lot. It's tough when the girl's not having their father around.
Well, I know I've said it before, but thank you so much for helping us.
Ma'am, are you really sure your girls want to leave?
Do you let your daughters decide what time they go to bed or whether or not they go to school?
No, of course not.
Children don't always know what's best for them, Mr. Wilcox. It's a parent's job to make those decisions.
Your husband, he feels the same way.
What is this?
Your Highness, a lot of people are upset that we brought you here, and it might come down to just us getting you out. We just want to make sure we're doing the right thing.
I was willing to risk never seeing my daughters again to get them to America. And do you really think I'd do that if I weren't convinced it was right?
I forgot to tell you, your doctor called.
So?
Sir, please tell me you didn't cancel those last 3 appointments.
Pierce, I had a mother and a wife once. I buried them both. And unless you're planning to adopt me or ask for my hand in marriage, I can take care of myself.
Apparently not. The doctor says you're not doing enough to lower your high blood pressure and cholesterol.
Whatever happened to doctor-patient privilege?
So I work for special operations. If I can get the CIA to tell me why they're calling, I can get a cardiologist too. Your appointment has been rescheduled. Next Wednesday, 1500 hours.
Well, fine. So, if the world comes to an end on Wednesday, it's not my fault.
Bobby, you and Bailey time the Saudi shift changes. If we get the order to evacuate those girls, we need to know that window. Rodriguez, I want you to track their vehicle movements. If there's any pattern that we can exploit, I'll be working with the station chief, plotting routes in and out of the compound. In the meantime, I want everybody to memorize these building plans. We have got to be ready if we get the green light on this mission.
Moving into the 4th day of this standoff with no end in sight, many Americans are up in arms over the apparent siege of the U.S. Embassy here in Saudi Arabia.
U.S. forces have refused to release Saudi royals being held as virtual hostages in the American embassy in Riyadh.
The sooner we bring these girls home, the sooner we can remind the world that freedom is the only fuel that America needs.
Does this clown really think he's helping?
It's an election year.
So what are you hearing from state?
They're trying to find a face-saving way to give the girls back without any permanent damage to our relationship with the Saudis.
Yeah, and how's that going to play with the voters?
If these girls stay in the embassy much longer, the Arab public may get violent, and then we'll be sending special forces to all of our embassies.
We're looking to solve a problem that has no solution. You know, I've been thinking, Sonny, about Pierce. And even though I'd hate to lose her, in the long run, her coming to work for you, it's better for her.
Well, I appreciate that, Colonel, but I've nominated someone else.
But that's crazy. Pierce is the most qualified person in the entire building. You said so yourself.
Yeah, well, I'm sorry, but I guess I was wrong. I found a better candidate.
You found a better candidate?
It's a big building, Colonel. I couldn't simply choose Master Sergeant Pierce over someone with superior credentials just because I like her.
I gotta tell you, you're making a huge mistake.
I'm thinking the sewer system might be our best bet.
Sounds good.
You okay, man?
Yeah, it's just, never thought I'd end up a prisoner in the U.S. Embassy.
Oh, come on, Bobby. You've been in worse places. And it's for a good cause.
Maybe. Still, I'm helping to take 2 girls away from a father who loves them. Even though I don't agree with his beliefs. The longer I'm stuck here away from my girls, the more I imagine how Mean's gonna feel when his are gone.
Well, I'm sorry I got you into this, Bob. I really am.
Got a delivery for you, Colonel. Came in a diplomatic pouch. It's pretty heavy.
Thank you, Sergeant.
Here, I thought I'd be the one getting a care package from home. What the hell? I got it. It's Rocco.
There's no proof the prince had anything to do with the death of Rocco Vitano, and the Saudi ambassador is denying involvement.
Oh, sure he is. They're smart enough to keep their hands clean.
How the hell did they get him in Dubai?
The Saudis have a lot of money. It gives them a long reach. I mean, they didn't leave any fingerprints, but the message is clear. Give us back those girls, or we're going to come after you.
Well, they may have produced an opposite response.
Ma'am?
Now that a U.S. citizen has been killed, states countering the Saudis' moral indignation with our own.
One dead American is worth 2 live girls.
Well, the Saudis don't seem to see it that way. They're refusing to let the girls out of the country.
So what now?
Well, state has finally agreed to drop their opposition to a covert op, so we're going to sneak the girls and their mother out of the embassy.
Well, it's about damn time.
Here's how it's going to go down. We'll use a 3-card Monte scenario. A shell game using 3 diplomatic limousines going to 3 different airports. We'll use dummies for the girls. Now, the Saudis will be chasing these limos all over Riyadh, figuring at some point we'll have to let the girls out of the car and onto Saudi soil and board the plane, at which point they'll have the legal right to pick them up. Meanwhile, I'll walk Amelia and the girls underground through the sewers, which trek from the U.S. Embassy to this checkpoint. Bobby will scoop them up here, load them into the laundry truck, and we'll use the false wall inside the trailer to sneak them across the border to Qatar. We'll stack the bags short to tall for perspective. We gotta trick the eye of the border guards so they won't notice the extra space we're borrowing.
So how do we ensure that the Saudis will follow the limos?
Because you're going to let it slip on a non-secure phone that we need C-141 Starlifters at all 3 airports.
So while they're scrambling to block flights and slowing down their limos, we're rolling out of town on a laundry truck.
Fluff and fold, my brother.
Listen, I understand you told Colonel McNulty I didn't get the job.
Well, first he's angry with me for trying to steal you away, and then he chews me out for hiring someone else.
I appreciate you covering for me, ma'am.
Well, I don't understand why you don't just tell him the truth.
Because he's smart, and he's proud. And if he finds out that I turned the job down, he'll figure out that I did it because I think he needs me, and then he'll have me shipped off to Okinawa.
Are you?
Am I what?
Turning me down because you think Colonel McNulty needs you?
Colonel McNulty is not far from retirement. He's set in his ways. He doesn't have anybody at home to look after him, and he's not going to let somebody new take care of him the way that I do. And, to be honest, being alone at all, maybe I like having somebody to take care of.
Well, I admire your devotion to the Colonel, Jocelyn. But one of these days, you're going to have to start taking care of yourself.
JT here.
Just a heads up, state struck a deal with the Saudis to allow Amelia and her daughters to return to the state.
How soon?
As soon as you can sneak them out.
I thought you said we made a deal.
Yes, but the Crown Prince isn't about to admit to the world that he agreed to turn over 2 of his blood relations to the Americans. He needs to save face.
So we have to go through the motions.
Saudi security will offer no resistance. Once the girls are gone, they'll suddenly discover they were secretly spirited out of the country.
What's the catch?
60 days later, the SecDef will announce the sale of a half-dozen F-18s to the Saudis as an act of goodwill.
Well, ain't diplomacy grand.
Colonel, Prince Amin is here to see you and the captain.
Again?
What can we do for you, Your Highness?
You can drop the charade, gentlemen. I'm well aware of the deal that's been struck between your government and mine. So it seems everything worked out for you in the end.
I wish I could say the same for Rocco Vitano.
I can assure you I had nothing to do with that man's death.
You don't seem too broken up about it, Your Highness.
Why should I grieve for a man who took my daughters from me? You wouldn't understand. You don't have any children, do you? But Captain Wilkerson here...
Sorry, Your Highness, I think you have me confused with someone else. My name's Wilcox.
It's all right, Bobby. You can trust me not to reveal your identity. After all, we're both in the business of black operations.
This meeting's over.
It's true, I've gone to great lengths to penetrate your cover. Bobby, just imagine what you'd be willing to do if it were your wife, Beth, who was followed to the rec center where your daughters take ballet every Tuesday. And what if your daughters were taken and your government refused to help you? My family may think their relationship with America is more important than my relationship with my daughters, but I disagree, and I will do anything to keep them from being taken away from me. Anything.
What do you want?
It's very simple. Get my daughters off of embassy grounds, just like you planned, and then you release them on Saudi soil where my men will pick them up and take them home. To their father.
Good. Beth and the girls are safe. McNulty's got the FBI providing round-the-clock protection for that.
And then what, huh? We're supposed to live underground for the rest of our lives? If Amin can get to Rocco, he can get to my family, JT.
These are your kids we're talking about, Bobby. You say the word. We'll do what Amin asked.
What? Make his little girls pay? Just like peace of mind? I can't do that.
So we'll send them back to the U.S.
Yeah. And we come back, we take care of Amin ourselves.
Or we get Samantha Liston to do it for us.
Ms. Liston, I'd like you to meet General Atman Rahim from the Saudi Embassy. This is Samantha Liston, Assistant Secretary of Defense for Special Operations.
Pleasure to meet you, Madam Secretary.
General, thank you for coming.
I'm happy to repay Eli the favor.
Favor?
Well, the General and I, we trained together at Fort Bragg a million years ago.
Colonel McNulty saved my life at jump school. But I'm certain I wasn't called here to share old war stories.
No, I wish that was the reason. Unfortunately, the situation at the American Embassy in Riyadh has taken a turn for the worse.
I was under the impression a deal has been struck.
Yes, well, as a result, Prince Amin has threatened the family of one of Colonel McNulty's men. Now, we appreciate the delicate nature of the United States' relationship with your country. And we also appreciate that the Saudi Special Forces are eager to get their hands on those F-18s. But before a final sale can be completed, the Secretary of Defense and the United States Congress will be asking my recommendation as to the advisability of completing that sale. Now, I'm sure the Crown Prince will understand that I will be voicing my concerns about those planes falling under the control of a deputy minister who has threatened my people.
The Crown Prince has always considered the United States a great friend. And I'm certain he doesn't condone these actions taken by his young cousin, Prince Amin.
Then I trust that you will tell His Majesty what an impediment Prince Amin has become to the continued good relations of our two countries.
Should be brave.
Got it. It's time.
ليش ما جبت بناتي؟
سمونا مين؟ جانا كلام بالكبت علي.
أريد أشوف بناتي. وينهم بناتي؟ أريد أشوف بناتي. أريد أشوف بناتي.
That was Ambassador Jansen. Looks like there's going to be a position opening up in the Saudi Ministry of Interior.
Well, they don't waste any time, do they?
What do you think they've done with the prince?
I just heard from JT. He and the girls are out of the kingdom, and they're catching a C-141 transport from Qatar.
I'll call state and have them issue a joint press release. It's over, Colonel.
It's a hell of a way to get custody. Where are you going?
To the doctor? With you?
Here's how many times do I have to tell you?
It's not negotiable, sir. Now let's go.
All right, then. But I don't need you coming with me, you know.
I know. I know.
Hey, buddy. Beth and the girls okay?
Yeah, the truth is, I think I'm a little more freaked out than they are.
Now look at it this way. Now that your cover's blown in Saudi Arabia, you'll never have to go back there again.
Yeah. That guy sure went to extremes, though, didn't he?
Yeah. Look where it got him.
Whether you agree with him or not, I mean, he was just trying to get his kids back.
He had a guy's head cut off, Bobby. He threatened your family.
Yeah. If it were me, I honestly can't say I wouldn't do the same.